All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So on behalf of the Independence Chamber of Commerce in the City of Independence, welcome to First Friday. This is the first Friday of 2019, so Happy New Year. Can't believe that I'm saying 2019. I can hardly remember to write it. We have a lot of great information planned for you. We have great speakers this morning. We always have lots of good speakers, and this month is going to be no different. We have a lot of valuable information coming from the city, so I'm excited to get our program started this morning. But before we start, we always want to thank our business sponsor. And I was looking back through the notes, so we started First Friday in 2014 in October, and the Chamber sponsored it. And then Lori Kelly had a great idea of, hey, why don't you serve breakfast at that event? And it just kind of has stuck. And apparently you love Annie Mae's muffins, or you love the content of the event, or both, because we usually have between 80 and 100 people here. And this morning is no different. I just took a head count and we're over 80. So that excites me since 2014 to be able to have a monthly event that continues to have this kind of attendance. On top of that, our business sponsor has been sponsoring this event since 2015. Every single year, Independence Family Medicine or Wilson Medical Center has been a business sponsor, and this month they are again sponsoring us. So we appreciate their sponsorship. We appreciate the health care that you provide to our area. And at this time, I would like to welcome their CEO, Dennis Shelby.
Thank you very much for having us here today, and it's an honor to be able to sponsor this event. I'm a big fan of the Independence Chamber and the attendance and the involvement, and it's obviously starting off great in 2019. We've had a good 2018, and just wanted to share some of the things that we've accomplished and also what's going on in 2019. And I'll do it real quick. Our Independence Family Medicine Clinic has been open for 5 years. We celebrate our 5-year anniversary. The hospital celebrated 10 years at their new location. We've also opened our Cancer Infusion Therapy Center, and we have also added services in our hospital as well as our therapy clinic. We have partnered with the Wildcat Extension Office to provide dining with diabetes classes. And in 2019, we'll continue to grow and to continue to add services that you need. We've already added an ear, nose, and throat clinic, which started yesterday, a doctor by the name of Dr. Thacker. He's with us now. And one of our bigger exciting things that's happened is Dr. Tanya Hill, who's an internal medicine specialist that has been practicing in Fredonia and still practices in Fredonia, has joined our Neodache Family Medicine Clinic, and she's there as well. So that's good news. Let's see. Our hospital has been around Southeast Kansas for 102 years, serving Southeast Kansas. That doesn't happen unless you have dedicated people. And today, around the table is a bunch of dedicated people. And from the Independence Family Medicine Clinic, our two providers, Jonathan Rodriguez, and also too many people to share today, but also Marty Long, who's been a longtime resident here in the community and served in different capacities, is with us. Jody is our clinic manager, as well as, Jody Wright, as well as some other folks here. Janice Reese and Sheila Mitchell are from the marketing department. And we're very happy to have with us today Francie Curry from our Neodache Family Medicine Clinic. So we have a big bunch of dedicated people here, and we're looking forward to serving you in 2019. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. And it looks like there's still plenty of muffins and fruit over on the table and lots of hot coffee. So as I always tell you, it's a relaxed event, so feel free to slip over and get a refill or get an extra muffin. You might want to slip behind the camera unless you want to be on TV. So speaking of TV, we try to get as much information out to the community as we can through the Chamber and through the city. And I just want to mention a few ways that you can get lots of great information. So you can always check out the city's Facebook page, their website, the Chamber's Facebook page, and their website. We have flyers over on the table for people who like to take those bits of information and share them at the workplace. We publish it in the newspaper and What's Up, so we appreciate the Independence Daily Reporter always putting in our community calendar and our What's Up on a weekly basis. We have a calendar of events that's on your table. We also pass those out at recycling to try to get that information out, and we put it on our Facebook page and pump that information out. So please, if there's something missing, and there are a few things missing I'll mention, but be sure if there's corrections or things missing after the event to share that with us, because we'll go right back to the office, make those corrections before we send that on to the reporter and we flash it out. We also do some table tents that you'll see around the community. Garrett, our tourism coordinator, puts those together, and we get those to Main Street, and they put them around downtown. We put them in the hotels so that everyone coming into our community knows what's going on in Independence, and we're able to share that information. We also get a lot of support from our radio stations. We do a live radio spot on KIND Friday afternoons at about 4:50, so that will happen today. Roman's Motor Company also sponsors a community calendar that you all find very beneficial, because I hear you talk about it all the time, that you hear it on the radio. It's played Monday through Friday on 102.9 and 94.9, so we appreciate Roman's support of that, getting that information out. And John Leonard is here from KGGF, and we do a Tuesday interview in Coffeyville at 8:15, and it's at 6:90 a.m., and they play that throughout the week as well. It's on open line, and I get a lot of good feedback about people who hear that information on the radio too. So I see some heads nodding, so thank you, John, for that support. We also take your suggestions seriously. So on the tables, you'll see some comment cards. Grab one of those if something comes to you and you're thinking, that would be a good idea for a speaker. So write those down and just leave them on the table. We pick everything up after it's over, and we take a look at those. So let's run through some fun things that are happening in the community real quick. I'm just going to hit some highlights. The library has a tremendous amount of activities that are going on inside and outside the Independence Public Library. So I encourage you to check out their websites and their Facebook page for all of that. We would be here till at least noon if I went through all of those. So be sure and look at those on your own. Eclectics Art Gallery has a lot of, especially this January, February, they have a lot of events going on at the Art Gallery that are fun, artistic events that you can take advantage of. So be sure and check those out. We have high school basketball that will be tonight, so let's cheer on the Bulldogs. Be very supportive of our high school youth. We have recycling that's tomorrow, and we always have recycling on Tuesdays from 11 to 1 as well. So once a month on a Saturday, and every Tuesday you can drop off your recyclables. And I wanted to point out that on the 5th on your calendar, the Watercolor for Beginners with Louise Woodard is actually on the 6th from 12 to 4. And there's some flyers over on the table about that, so I'll verbally mention that for everyone who will watch this on YouTube. But you might want to make a mark on your calendar if you are interested in that. We have the Cancer Support Group, which will be coming up on the second Tuesday of every month. So mark that on your calendar if you would benefit from that, or you know someone who would. We have lots of college basketball that's happening in the community, so be sure and take a look at that. On Tuesday, January the 15th, Textron Aviation will be doing a hiring event out at the Independence Job Center, so that's from 2 to 6. So be sure and let people know that might be interested in that event. We also have on January the 18th through the 20th and later on in February, we have a lot of people who will be coming to our community for some hunting opportunities. We have the Bird Hunters United National Finals, and we have the National Upland Classic Series Kansas State Championships in our town. So they're filling up our hotel rooms. The grant application said they would have between 50 and 70 hotel rooms that are booked for those events. So that's huge for our community. So if you happen to see a lot of probably guys, but maybe some ladies dressed in camo that don't look familiar to you, be nice, because they're in town for some hunting opportunities. So they won't have their guns. They'll just be having their camo. So. Let's see, and also we have a ribbon cutting coming up on Saturday, the 26th of January. Sawyer's Fine Wine and Spirits is going to be having a ribbon cutting at 1 o'clock. Going to kind of have an open house and everything. So drop by and thank them for opening up shop in downtown Independence and investing in the community, and help them celebrate. And then we also have the Valley Victors Soup Supper and Silent Auction on the 26th. That's to support our 4-H'ers, so make sure you put that down. And one thing I missed on the February calendar on February 7th, and we'll get that on there, is the Let's Whine About Winter. Wine, W-I-N-E, Let's Whine About Winter. That's sponsored by Independence Main Street. It's an opportunity to get out and get out of the house and get downtown and do some shopping. And I think they're going to be serving some wine, apparently, at some of the stores. So anyway, I'll give you a chance to talk about some other things that are happening in the community during our shout-outs at the end. We have some people that have already asked to speak during that time. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up, because our first speaker is our city manager. He has lots of valuable information to share with us this morning. He spent a lot of time preparing for this, a lot of positive information. I'm excited that 80 people are going to hear that this morning, but it also, like I said before, will be on the cable access channel, will be on YouTube, and hopefully the people of our community will take a listen and be well educated about all that's happening in Independence. So would you please welcome the man over here, our city manager, Craig Whitehead.
Thank you. Hope you can all hear this. I'm using a lavalier mic. This has been up here. I'm just wondering, anybody recognize where this is? It's City of Independence. I'll give you a clue. 8th and Main, 1908. And you can see we've progressed as that we've now paved that street. So, we're doing well. I want to talk about 3 things today. So the first one, numbers. Is it too early to talk about numbers? You know, budget people like myself, we love numbers, so I'll try to make it interesting. Just because it's a number doesn't mean you can't have fun, right? Does that number mean anything to anybody? It has some significance for our community. Maybe if I did this. Anybody recognize this? Know what this is? Anybody?
Candle.
It's a candle from Magnolias. It's the large version. Anybody tell me how much this cost? Anybody bought one recently? No, you're too high. $25. This $25 that I spent is part of that number. That number is the amount of money spent in the City of Independence that generated sales tax. It seems, you first see that $195,500,000 was spent in 2018 that generated sales tax. That's what money coming into the community, and we'll talk about sales tax. There's another number, $5.5 million. This is the amount of money spent over 2017. So that $195 million was $5.5 million more than in 2017. So we had a great year in 2018, if you will. Sales tax was up. It had been going down and fluctuating. But in 2018, our sales tax was up. That meant you just take 1% for sales tax in the general fund, That's another $55,000 for the city's general fund to fund operations. We'll talk more about the impacts of that. Another number, $100. You may have heard this statistics. For every $100 spent locally, it creates $68 in secondary spending. Which I thought was interesting. In fact, that $5.5 million, there's another statistic from Forbes magazine that said for every $10 million spent locally, that creates 57 jobs. So by adding $5.5 million, that's, in theory, it added 25 jobs to the community because we increased that spending. Oops, going the wrong way. All right, sales tax. Again, it's just numbers, but it doesn't mean we can't have fun. So we'll try to make it interesting. This is just an interesting statistic comparing some comparable cities, Coffeyville, Chanute, and Independence. We're about the same population. They're actually a little higher, maybe 1,000 more. It's interesting to note that Independence, you can see that number there, 1.955. That's just the 1%. Significantly higher than Coffeyville at 1%, and about the same as Chanute at 1.9. But what does that say? What does that say to anybody? Does that mean anything? Well, we're selling more stuff, but what it means is we're about the same population. In fact, we're a little less, but we're getting more in revenue. So that means more people are coming from outside to me. Coming outside to shop in Independence. Plus, we have car dealers here, and Independence, Coffeyville doesn't have any new car dealers anyway. Oh, I'm going the wrong way, sorry. Again, no reason you can't have fun with numbers. You know what the secret to a good pie chart is, don't you? It's the crust. Oh. And what's the crust here? The state breaks down sales tax into different categories, and we've combined them here. And to get those numbers is difficult. The state will give us by month a list of each business and what they generate, but you can't get an aggregate. So finance director had to take all those months from 2018 and figure out a way to add them all up because it changes every month. It was a Herculean effort to put a spreadsheet together to get these numbers. Anyway, break it out into these categories. Again, the key of this slide is retail. Retail versus the other makes up 67% of all sales tax. The second one, highest, is interesting, as Lisa mentioned, lodging and restaurants. Got people coming into town, filling up the hotels and so forth. That's the second highest at 11%. And then utilities is third at 7%, and then spread out the others. But it's that retail, again, makes up 67%. So when you talk shopping, shop local. Can't talk about sales tax without a good bar chart. This one I want to make clear. This is the top 10 businesses that generate sales tax. What this shows, these top 10 businesses, whatever category, generate 57% of our sales tax. 10 businesses generate 57%. The other over here, these 35, 13, 7, 2, if you do the math, they add up to that 57%. These four is just the breakout of these top 10. So within that top 10, retail makes up, again, the highest by far, 35%. So, independent sales tax breakdown. Another number. Remember how much I paid for this candle? $25. When I paid $25, they added on $2.38. So I ended up paying $27.38 for this candle. I love candles. That's why I bought it. My wife and I, we love candles. I have candles in my office. Candles are great. And we were so excited when we came here in Magnolia's, made soy candles with all these flavors. It's great. Because we were, previously, Yankee Candle, dare I say that name, but we worked in the Northeast, and my wife's from the Northeast. So anyway, it was great to come here. We can buy local. We don't have to go on Amazon and order Yankee Candles. Anyway, so I paid an extra $238. That means our sales tax rate is 9.5% in Independence. That breaks down, the state gets 6.5% of that, and 3% then goes to the city, or it's collected for the city, and we'll show you how that breaks down. The city gets 3%, as I mentioned. Here's how it breaks down. 1% goes to the general fund operations, public safety, police, fire. The school district gets 1%, or most of 1%. Won't go too far in the weeds on that. But that 1% goes to help pay for the debt on the school improvements from several years ago. And then the city added 1%. It's called the special use sales tax. And that's one of the key ones we'll talk about, that special use sales tax. That breaks out into quarter percents, specifically by the voters when they voted. It was specifically noted this is what it goes for. So like 0.25% went for debt payment and mill levy reduction. 0.25 went to city building facility improvements. 0.25 for street and sidewalk, and 0.25 for ADA improvements. As you know, we had to do a lot of ADA improvements here. So, talking about impacts from the sales tax. As noted, the general fund gets 1.25%, 1% regular, and then a transfer of that 1.25% back to the general fund. So the general fund gets over $2.4 million in sales tax. It's the single highest revenue source in the general fund. That's how important it is. It pays for a third of the general fund operations by itself, far greater than property tax. Property tax makes up 20% of the budget. Aren't we having fun? Sales tax, general fund. But that's what it pays for, stuff like that. Police, fire, public works, streets, parks, zoo, cemetery, debt payments, administration. These are just some examples of what sales tax pays a third of, at least. So, some of the projects from that 1% special use sales tax. So we mentioned ADA. At the end of this month, we'll be bringing to the City Commission a contract for $660,000 to do ADA work in 2019. And we're just scraping the beginning of the service. We would look at a transition plan for ADA, we're talking in the millions, still yet to do, even though we've already done millions. But that's what that 1.25% goes for. And the bond payment transfer there of $293,000, that is to go back to pay the original bond years ago when they had to immediately begin doing ADA upgrades, especially in the downtown area under the DOJ order. There was a bond issue, and that's what that bond payment transfers for. 0.25% for building facility improvements. Right now, in 2019, Historic City Hall Phase 1, $1.3 million. That's going to be paid out of cash from the 0.25%. Other capital projects, $225,000. Airport projects, $157,000. We talk about airport projects. Those are usually matching grants with federal grants. Typically at the airport, when we do runways or whatever, we'll get a 90% matching grant. City comes up with 10%. That's what those things are. Street and sidewalk improvements. Again, a bond payment transfer under street and sidewalk improvements for street work. The city did matching grants, especially with some state projects. And just note the street improvements there, $50,000 got an asterisk. That's not the total we're spending on streets, of course. That's just what we're taking $50,000 out of this revenue source we're actually going to be spending $275,000 in 2019, which is an increase of about $75,000 over 2018. And of course, very important to mention the transfer to the general fund. That 0.25% goes back to the general fund. And what that means, you can see that right there, 0.25% generates $488,000. If you transfer that back, that equals 10 mills on the property tax. So if you didn't have that, you'd have to raise your property taxes 10 mills. You can figure that out on your property tax, what that means to you. So it's very important, obviously, what that sales tax provides. And they're going to expire, at least 2 of them. The 1%, that'll be in effect unless it's repealed by some action. The USSD expires in 2031 and 2032. It's a while for that. It goes with the bond payment schedule, excuse me. The key one here, of course, is the 1% special use we've been talking about. That expires in just a few years, unless it's renewed. We can certainly renew that. And to complete all these projects, obviously we're going to be proposing to do that at some point, to re-up that 1%. So this is what it does. Pays property tax, relief, police fire operations, all those things that we've been talking about. Sales tax obviously is important. As mentioned, it's 1/3 of the general fund. One more number before I'm done with sales tax. That 1% special use sales tax is funding almost $1.9 million in capital projects in 2019. It's paying for that. If we didn't have that, we either couldn't do the projects or come out of property tax. Back to Main Street. Shop. You see it's very important, obviously. We've been talking about it here prior to these meetings, so it's very important. Shop local. All right, my second thing. How am I doing on time? Oh, my goodness, I'm almost done. We're going to have to hustle.
I will contribute some of my time to you.
I just really quickly want to talk about community-based strategic planning. We're moving forward with that. This is one of my favorite quotes of all time. There's no power equal to a community discovering what it cares about. This is our mantra. This is the essence of the strategic plan. We now know what the community cares about because of going through that process. So we have a prime director. I can't spend a lot of time. We have strategic directives, 5 of them. Economic development be very important. We're now finalizing our action plans to meet those key initiatives. That's an example of economic development. There's just 3 of them there. A key interesting one is economic development, make beautification improvements to the downtown area. That's why I put it in graphically this way. Economic development is important. Infrastructure, the other 4, everything we do contributes to economic development. Everything we do. In fact, even just not in this plan, but we talk about as a city, our city operations, everything we do contributes to economic development. Comes back to that. Comes back to that. This is what the community cares about. And that empowers us as a staff. We now know what the community cares about, so when we bring these forward, we'll have that support. All right, really quickly. A few things just for fun. This is my just for fun. These aren't city employees, by the way. Chief's innovative new radar. Jerry's here. He can talk about the new radar. Anyway, real quickly, when I was my first job out of school, I worked for a large city in the northwestern New York, Rochester, New York, a real place, a real city. And I was assigned with the assistant city manager as a budget analyst to the police department. And so one of the first things I did is I spent a week of nights with the police department. I also spent 8 nights with the dispatch center, which dispatched for the whole county, Montgomery County, by the way, 800,000 people, 9 jurisdictions. And I tell you, you would not believe what you heard on 911 calls. So I'll just give you a sample. Now, these aren't from Rochester, but very similar, just for fun.
Rory, can I help you?
Yes, I need somebody to get this ice off my windshield. I don't know how to do it, or I don't have anything to do it with.
I'm not sure why you think a police officer is going to come help you get ice off your windshield.
I don't have, like, anything to get it off with. I can't scratch it off.
Okay. If you don't have an ice scraper, you're going to have to use something else with an edge on it that you can get it off, or start your car and put the defroster on for a while.
All right, well, can y'all help me or no?
Well, I'm helping you by giving you suggestions.
All right, later.
I have never been in Portland before except once to pick up a check, and I don't know where to go. I'm here in an adult bookstore called Cindy's.
Okay, do you need police, fire, or medical?
No, sir, I want to know where a good place to sit quietly and be by myself is.
Let me transfer to non-emergency. I think they have a place for that.
I'm sure you could all think of a place that put.
Smith County 911, what's your emergency?
I'm watching a movie and a guy's beating another guy with a bat.
A movie?
Started from Blockbuster.
Okay, and what do you want me to do about that? What are you wanting?
I don't know. What can you do?
There's nothing we can do. If you don't want to watch the movie, then turn it off.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
One more. We're done.
911, what's your emergency? Yeah, my wife got attacked by a warthog real bad, and I need someone to come up with an ambulance and pick her up. Okay, sir. Can you give me your address? Yeah, we're at 1825 Eucalyptus Drive. Okay, could you spell that for me, sir? I'm going to drag her on over to Oak Street, and you can pick her up there.
I'm done. Thank you.
I'm glad none of us need to know how to spell eucalyptus. All right. Well, thank you very much, Craig. Great job. Before I turn it over to our next speaker, I want to point out, I was listening to what Craig said and thought, when you talk about shop local and all of the dollars that we've kept in our community and everything, we need to be very, very thankful. And the one entity that I think we really need to thank is our retailers. They do not have to do business in Independence. We have current retailers, we have new retailers on the horizon, and they are choosing to do business in Independence. And many times it's a thankless job. They're here, they work numerous hours. We want them to be open on Saturday. Let's work some more, and we do appreciate them. And I think sometimes we don't say that. We do appreciate them. I know that we do because we're shopping in their stores. But I just encourage all of you, the next time that you walk into Magnolia and you buy one of those amazing candles, or you walk into Sayers, or you walk into all of our stores in downtown Independence, that right after you make that cash register ring, that you tell them thank you for doing business in Independence, because without them we wouldn't have those amazing numbers that Craig just shared with us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the president of our community college, Dr. Dan Barwick.
Thanks very much. They just came over and handed me the mics. I don't think they want me to use that. So I'll begin just by thanking Wilson Medical for sponsoring important events like this. Thank you. So I go to Independence Family Medicines every 6 months. Jonathan tells me how out of shape I am. It's a great experience. I appreciate that you're sponsoring the event. And while we're at it, I think we should take a sec and congratulate Jeff Gettler. I don't know how many of you know that Jeff Gettler won an airplane. So you definitely want to visit him if you want to ride. I'm gonna just take a few minutes and talk to you about you're looking at me in disbelief. He really did win an airplane. I'm going to take you just quickly through this college's strategic planning process. We've just finished about the first third of our strategic planning process, and so I'm just really going to update you on where we are. And to those of you who have participated in the process up to this point, I know that many of you have. I just want to say thank you. Your participation is very important to us. So, I don't think I think that most of you would agree we need a strategic planning process, but there are two particular things driving the college and the timing. The first is this, that our current strategic plan ends this year. We had a 3-year strategic plan. It's ending, so it needs to be replaced. And it needs to be replaced because, like you, the other people that monitor the college, like our accreditors, expect that we will engage in long-term planning. So the board of trustees at the college, who are ultimately responsible for the strategic plan, adopted a set of principles that would guide the development of the plan, and they are these. First, that it would have to be inclusive, that we would design a process that would reach out to as many people as we possibly could, and in as many different ways as we could. We have solicited opinions from the high schools, from community members, from our alumni, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. But the idea is that we should allow everyone who has an opinion to be heard. That it needs to encourage fundamentally new ideas. Education, like all other things, is changing, and we have to remain open to new ideas. We cannot simply be satisfied with the status quo. We decided that we should use an outside coordinator to make sure that it was not, so the ultimate plan was not simply driven by someone sort of on the inside with a particular agenda. Actually, we had a terrific coordinator. I'm sure many of you know Brooke Carroll, the city manager of Cherryvale. And unfortunately, we've lost Brooke. She has moved to Wichita, which of course is a real loss to the community. And now we will need a new coordinator for our strategic planning process, and we're selecting someone now for that. It needs to be data-driven. The plural of anecdote isn't data. We need to make sure that when we make decisions that they are based on careful quantitative data. We want to make sure that the process itself adopts best practices. There's many ways to create a strategic plan, and we want to make sure that we're doing it in a way that has been already found to be successful elsewhere. And finally, we wanted to avoid a final product that only reflects the views of the people who scream the loudest. So everybody has different ways of expressing themselves. Some people who have something very valuable to impart can do so quietly. And we need to make sure that whatever process we use, it hears even the quiet voices of the people who still have something important to say. What's the timeline for this? Well, I said we were about a third of the way through it. Let me show you what we're doing. In September, the board approved the general principles that I just outlined for you. In October, the board approved the actual process itself, which I'm going to tell you a little bit about. In November, we formed the GAP Committee. The GAP Committee is a high-level committee that's part of our process. It's essentially a group of 10 people who determine where the largest gaps are based on the data that we collect, where the largest gaps are between what we are doing and what we ought to be doing. And the GAP Committee then decides where the priority work needs to be done as the strategic plan is developed. By the way, the GAP Committee is composed of 4 community members, 2 members of the Board of Trustees, 2 faculty, and 2 staff. We chose facilitators. We have these community listening sessions. We've done them in Cherryvale. We've done them in Independence. We've done them out at the college. We've done them in this room. We've done them at Anna Mays. We've done them out at ICC West. And all those are facilitated by people who are trained to do so and are essentially just leading the conversation, but they're very careful not to steer the conversation. We created an online survey, which about 600 of you have taken. Thank you very, very much. If you have not taken that survey, if I could ask for just one outcome of today's talk, I would like you to go to the college's website, IndependenceKs.gov. At the top of the front page, you can click on a link that will take you to that survey. That data is very, very valuable to us. If you have not done that, please do so. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we had listening sessions in a number of communities. In December, we administered the surveys, we held the listening sessions, and then in January, looking ahead, the GAP committee will review the data and make work group assignments. So what they'll do is they won't assign people to be in different areas, but what they'll assign is what are the different areas the priority areas that groups need to work on. Where are the biggest gaps in the college's performance? In February 2019 is where the real work occurs, because those work groups have to complete their work to tell us how to take the college from where it is to where it needs to be. Finally, you need to take the product of those work groups and combine them. I don't envy the people who have to do that task. And then in April 2019, the trustees consider the draft plan, which is really just the combination of the different work group outputs. After all, in the end, this plan is the plan of the trustees. All of us are essentially in this process acting as advisors to the trustees of the college, who ultimately need to approve the strategic plan. So who's involved in this? First of all, remember, I'll say again, it's open to all who are interested. There's many ways for you to be involved, and I know that many of you already have. You can take the survey. And actually, I think, let me just back up a second, just say, so when we surveyed here, we surveyed our service area and we surveyed alumni no matter where they live. And we also survey students both at the college and at the local high schools. However, it occurred to me when I was doing this that I'm not sure that everybody in the room knows what our service area means. So I thought I would just take a sec. So what you see here is the taxing district. So this is Montgomery County. That squiggly line through the middle there is the division between the taxing district of Coffeyville Community College on the bottom and ICC at the top. So unless you own property in both places, you're only being taxed for one community college, of course. But this is the taxing district, and that's different than the service area. The service area, the part that ICC has a right to serve those students, and if some other community college wants to serve people in those areas, they have to get our permission, is this. So there's Elk, Chautauqua, Wilson, and Montgomery counties. The little red part at the bottom is Coffeyville's taxing district and their service area. And the most interesting thing about this part is actually not that, of course, ICC also serves those surrounding counties, but that Coffeyville has the smallest taxing district and the smallest service area of any community college in Kansas. So back to who's involved. So we do our entire service area, not just our taxing district. As I mentioned, we have listening sessions. We have the GAP committee with 10 members. And we have work groups. And so the second thing I'd love to have you do is to reach out to anyone at the college, whether it be me or a trustee or any employee you know, and let them know if you would like in February to serve on a work group. A work group, you can select the area that you'd like to work in. Ideally, you'll work in a work group that is some area of interest or expertise of yours, so that you won't be stuck with a group discussing a topic you are not interested in. We want you to discuss things that you're interested in. So please let us know if you'd like to be part of a work group and what your area of interest is. And then finally, of course, the Board of Trustees is always involved. They get a report at each board meeting about the progress in the strategic plan, and they will also presumably serve on the work groups, and we know, in fact, they're also serving on the GAP committee. I'll stop there. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Hopefully you'll see an increase by 80 on your survey count after First Friday today. So one of the programs of the Chamber of Commerce is the Diversity Task Force. They're very busy in the community. They're very active. They're making a difference. And one of the things that they work on every year is the Martin Luther King celebration. And here to talk to us about that is Kathy Shepard. Would you please welcome her to the podium?
Well, as Lisa said, again this year, the Diversity Task Force and RSVP for County, which I am the coordinator for, are partnering to organize our Martin Luther King Day celebration. And we're receiving some funds from the Kansas Volunteer Commission to help sponsor that through a MLK Day of Service mini grant. The celebration will be held on January the 20th at the Independence High School Performing Arts Center. Dr. King devoted his life to equality, social justice, economic advancement, and opportunity for all. He challenged us to build a more perfect union and taught us that everyone has a role to play in America, making America what it ought to be. By making service part of our daily lives, we help realize Dr. King's dream. He recognized the power of service and famously said, "Everyone can be great because everyone can serve." Observing the MLK Day of Service is a way to begin each year with a commitment to making Independence a better place. Your service honors Dr. King's life and teachings and helps meet community challenges. Service brings people together of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities. Our celebration here in Independence, of course, includes a service project. We refer to this project as our food fight. And I don't know if you all have heard about this before, so hopefully you'll get involved this year. It's a friendly competition between the schools and the community at large to see who can collect the most non-perishable foods, and those items are then given to the Independence Food Basket. Many may not know that after the holiday season that the food basket is somewhat depleted, and we like to do this to help restock so they're able to help the people in the community. So the Martin Luther King Day celebration will begin with a free soup lunch, which is also a service project. We have volunteers in the community, part of RSVP and part community organizations that provide that soup. If you'd like to get involved in that, then just get with me, give me a phone call, and we'll get you lined up to help with the soup. That's free to everyone in the community, and we hope everyone will come out and take part in that, enjoy the soup before we actually have our celebration program. The food fight, it will continue. We've already started. Some of the schools, when they get back in, will start collecting. I have to tell you, the kids at Eisenhower have smoked everybody for I don't know how many years. You'd think all of us adults could knock off the kindergarten, first and second grade kids, but so far nobody's been able to do it. So that's my challenge to you. Let's see if our community can come up with more than our youngsters do. You also can bring your food fight donations that day. We'll collect them. We finish the count that day, and then we award a traveling plaque that has our food fight logo on it and actually looks like splatters of food on it. We named it that just because it's a fun way to get the kids involved and the community involved and get it going. Drop-off locations will be at the Chamber of Commerce and then also at GNW. The soup lunch, I said, begins at 2. If anybody would like to help serve that, we'd love to have you do that. And then our celebration of Dr. King's life actually starts at 3 o'clock in the Performing Arts Center. It has lots of music, and one of the things that we try to do is involve people from different faith organizations here in our community. We have students from the schools who come and perform, community members. We have a community choir. If you like singing, I've got some flyers over here on the table you can pick up about when the practices for that community choir are. You don't have to be a great singer. Everyone is welcome. So if you'd like to participate in that, then grab one of those flyers. We also have the Spirit of Unity Award, and that's given to a person in the community who's provided significant service which fosters inclusion and community, and that will also be announced during the ceremony. Some of our previous winners are Robert Wesley, Kathy Newkirk, Madeline Crawford, Charles Barker, Jim Kelly, and Chuck Schmidt. During that ceremony, we take up a collection also, and the money that is collected that day, part is used for a scholarship for a local student, and then the other part is also given to the Independence Food Basket to serve our community. And students in 6th through 12th grade will be writing essays. And Rusty Arnold has really helped us with getting that out in the schools and getting more people involved. And the winners of that, we have 3 different categories. We have the middle school students, the high school students, and then a college level. And each of them, the top ones of those, will receive prizes. And then the elementary students, K through 4th grade, they've been working on a paper quilt, and that will be displayed that parents can come and see what their kids have been working on. The community choir performs, which I said everybody's encouraged to come out and participate in that also. And like I said, I have flyers over here. If you haven't been to our Martin Luther King Day celebration, I think you'd really enjoy it, not just as a person on the diversity task force, but as just a member of the community. Come out and share in that day and enjoy that celebration of Dr. King's life and help with the service project. And we look forward to seeing everyone on that day, January 20th, beginning at 2 o'clock with the soup lunch. Thank you.
Thank you. It is a really good day. So I too encourage you to come out. And so because we need to beat those little kiddos at Eisenhower, let's encourage everyone to maybe do some food drives within your organizations, at your places of work, and you can drop that off, like Kathy said, at the chamber office, and we can get that food to the Community Access Center's food baskets so that we can help those in need in our community. So there are, like she said, flyers over on the table, and you can check that out on our Facebook page as well. So our last speaker this morning is our Chief of Police. Previously, he was a bearded fellow, but not today. And he has lots of fun, informative information to share with us. So would you please welcome the Chief of Police, Jerry Harrison.
I want to start out by telling you something you already know. What a special place Independence is. I haven't quite been here 3 years. You know, the first time I spoke, I didn't know anybody here. And today I've got a number of people heckling me via cell phone while I'm up here. So that's really nice. And I want to thank Jeff Gettler for the generous donation of a plane so that IPD can have an air patrol. That's very kind of you. So I'll try to wrap this up so we can all go take our surveys for Dan. So today I'm going to talk to you about the K-9. We're raising funds to get a K-9 program going, and this is in response. It's from listening to the voice of our community. Police Chiefs Advisory Committee, City Manager, the Commissioners, but most importantly, the citizens. I can't even tell you how many times I've had someone come up to me around town and say, why don't you guys have a dog? Why don't you guys have a drug dog out there making a difference? And so, you know, it's time. It's time for us to get up and do what our citizens want us to do. So some of the reasons we need a K-9 team, there are K-9 teams available in the area. The issue is that the courts don't allow us to extend a traffic stop or a contact with a person for the purpose of getting a drug dog on scene. So if there's not someone very close or oftentimes not on duty, then we just don't have that resource available. So that's probably one of the most important reasons. The other reason is we've seen a significant increase in our drug investigations every year that I've been here. So starting in 2016, we had more drug investigations. In 2017, we had more than in 2016. And in 2018, we've had significantly more than probably the first 2 years combined. I would usually throw a stat in there, but it's now 2019, so I'm going to wait and so look for our stats in the year-end report, and you can get an idea about the increase in drug investigations. Please note, I don't say an increase in drug activity. It's an increase in our response to drug activity. Things are not getting worse. Your police department is focusing resources on that topic. And so that's why you're seeing an increase in our response to drug activity. So how are we going to fund this? We got a grant in 2018 and 2019 from Independence Area Community Chest. We have some local philanthropists that have pledged to support the program ongoing for 2019. We had Tyson over at First Oak Bank helped us set up a GoFundMe page. If you want to donate to our GoFundMe page, you can look up IPD Drug Dog. That is legit. It's on our Facebook page if you have any questions. We've got some donations for the kennel and in-kind donations for the kennel. So the kennel's already built, or it's very near to being completed. So that's pretty exciting. And we have partnered with the Community Foundation for Independence. So we have an account with them. So if you want to make a donation to the Drug Dog account, you can make the check out to CFFI, and in the memo line put IPD K9, and you can drop that off at Ed Jones, Jason Rutledge's office. I don't see him here, so call him out for not being here. Are you here, Jason? Yes. All right, make fun of Jason for not being here. He told me he's going to be here. All right. We also, my favorite, before we get to that. Okay, so we also got a call from State Farm yesterday. So Kirk Wright's working with us, and they have a program called Quotes for Good. So for every quote they write for the next month, they're going to make a donation to the K9 Fund. So that's pretty exciting. We did a Best Beard contest. So the officers themselves, all of our personnel, have donated to this program. We never had a beard policy, at least that I'm aware of. Independence Police Department has never allowed police officers to grow beards. So starting December 1st, we enacted a beard policy. So officers are allowed to grow facial hair. It's not unlimited, but there's some restrictions on it, but they are now allowed to grow facial hair. However, starting November 1st, if they wanted to donate, they were allowed to break the rules and start growing a beard. So almost everybody donated, and almost everybody tried to grow a beard. So that was sometimes good. That's probably my favorite fundraiser, though, is the Best Beard contest. That's the one I've heard the most about. That's the one we've had the most fun with internally. And we got some advertising dollars from Lee's Heating and Cooling to get on the local radio station. So I got to work with Mojo, so that was fun. But anyways, even our female officers kicked in on that and got involved. So we have jars around town. People keep asking me, is the contest still ongoing? It is. They want to know when we're going to pull the jars in. I don't know. Mo money, that's what we're after. So we're just going to leave them out there, and the officers are working pretty hard campaigning so that they can be the best, get the best beard, bragging rights. I think I know who's going to get it. There's probably not much I can do about it, so I'll just have to deal with it when it comes along. But you know, in the end, everybody's a winner because we're going to have a K9, and we'll be able to make a difference in our community. And we don't have to arrest everybody that is involved in drug trade in our community, and we don't need to arrest everybody that's involved in the drug trade in our community. All we have to do is make it so risky to be involved in that activity that offenders choose to go somewhere else if they want to deviate. So that's my goal, is for us to make it just too dangerous to do drugs in our community. And it works, because we all know where the speed traps are when we travel around the state. I'm not going to name any names, but we know where you don't speed when you're going to Wichita. And I promise you that police department is not catching every speeder that comes through their community, okay? We all know that. But they have made it so dangerous to speed in their community that we get to stand here and joke about it almost 2-hour drive away. So I know it works, and that's where we're headed. So where are we at now? Well, we want to thank the community chest. They covered about 70% of our K9 upfit, and that car is back. So Craig keeps asking me for a tour of the car, and I keep trying to remember to tell him. So whenever you're ready, Craig, we'll go take a tour of that car. We worked with every year we sit down and do some strategic planning with the city commissioners, and because of that planning process, we were able to do our vehicle purchasing plan so that it included having that full-time dedicated K9 car, because when you have a K9 car, it's not, you just can't, right now we share cars. So when you come in, you pick up the keys and you go out. Well, you can't really do that with the K9 car because of all the unique equipment in it. So it just doesn't work out that way. But working with the commissioners, we were able to have a car available that's dedicated to that officer and that dog. And of course, we want to thank our local donor that built the K9, or that funded the kennel construction. And we also appreciate the commitments to the future donations. We got some budgetary authorization from the city commission to purchase the dog, but ultimately the goal is to depending on how asset forfeiture is going to continue to go in the state legislature's taking a look at that. There's been some misinformation spread in the media about that, and so the state of Kansas is going to study it and make a response to that. But my hope is that process continues, and because who should pay for this dog? And in reality, who should be paying for this dog? Not you, not me. We're doing what we're supposed to do. The people that are out there offending, I think they should pay for the dog. They're the reason we need it, so I want their money, and I want them to pay for our dog, not us, not the taxpayers. So we're working with the Highway Patrol. They're going to help us obtain the dog, and they're going to train our handler. So there's some costs that comes with that. The training is free, but we got to purchase the dog, and we've got to provide room and board for the handler to go through the training. And then the Highway Patrol is also going to provide ongoing monthly maintenance training for the dog and for the team for free. So it's kind of a partnership with other area agencies as well. So of course, people ask me, where are we at? Well, we're a long ways from where we need to be. So we need you to, give till it hurts. Let's get this thing rolling. And just keep looking at the local radio and newspapers for ways that you can help us. Where the jars are is on Facebook. If you want to follow us, I think it's Independence Police. I think it's Independence, Kansas Police Department on Facebook. So follow us on there. We have a couple of commercials on there right now for the best beard contest. That's kind of funny. We've got some more. As soon as we get done here, I'm going to go work with Ike, and we're going to start editing to get the rest of the commercials out. So hopefully we'll start seeing some more of those roll out in the next few weeks. Follow us on Facebook, and most importantly, my jars are located at Equity Bank, the Donut Shop, Mikey's, and First Oak Bank. So really, if you take nothing away from today, I want you to do your survey for Dan, and then I want you to stop by Equity Bank, First Oak Bank, the Donut Shop, and Mikey's convenience store, and make a generous donation so that I do not have to hang my head in shame around Lisa Hilkenberg for the next year.
Thank you. Good job, everybody. Great information. Well, as we close, we always like to do our shout-outs. So I'll have everyone come up here and come on either side of the microphone. I know Lacey King is ready to do a shout-out, and anybody else. While she's making her way, I'm going to do a shout-out for Tom Schrader, who couldn't be here today. So he sent me a little quick email and said that he wanted everyone to know that the KU Alumni Association, along with Mike and Karen Thompson and Tom and Debbie Schrader, are sponsoring a watch party for the KU K-State game, which is being played in Manhattan on February the 5th. It's going to be at the Country Club. You don't have to be a member to attend. You just have to be a sports fan. And the game starts at 8, but the party will start at 7. So everyone is encouraged and invited to attend. Wear your blue and red if you are a KUer, and if you are a K-Stater, the Catbackers will be there as well. So put on your purple and come out and cheer for whichever school you want. With that, Lacey's over here, so let me give her the mic.
I've got it.
Did? Okay.
All right. I would like to invite each of you to come out to our After Prom Bingo fundraiser, where we raise funds for the youth to come to a safe environment that will provide them with food and fun and games and prizes. We're going to be having our fundraiser February 23rd, which is Saturday, at the IHS cafeteria. And if you want to purchase your tickets, they're $10 in advance at Magnolia or the IHS office. You can buy them there as well. Or you can buy them at the door, and they'll be $13. That night, you can win basket prizes, you can win cash prizes, and it's just fun for the whole family. We will have a concession stand where you don't have to fix supper, so check that off the list. And I just want to encourage you to mark your calendars and grab your family and friends and neighbors and grandmas and everybody and come out and have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you. It is so, can pass that. It is a lot of fun. I encourage you to go to After Prom Bingo. And if you want to donate a basket, Lacey will take you up on that as well. So thanks, Lacey. And another Lacey.
Yes. Lacey Bohr with Southeast Kansas Works. I've got a couple of things. So last month I talked about it. I'm going to talk about it again. Independence High School is having their second annual Career and Technical Education Day. So if you're a local business and you'd like to come out and support the high school, we'd love to have you. So if you could get a hold of me at Southeast Kansas Works or Mr. Spiker or Miss McClure at the high school, we'd love to have you. We're just really wanting to represent the industries here in Independence so the high school students can see you can go off and get a good degree and then you can come back and work here in Independence. Second thing, we are having our 4th annual statewide job fair. That is in conjunction with the Kansas Department of Commerce, so it'll be held at 11 locations across the state of Kansas. We are fortunate enough this year to have it again here, so it's going to be here at Memorial Hall on March 7th from 2 to 6 p.m. So if you're a business and you're looking for employees, get a hold of me. Registration is live and is filling up pretty quickly. So get a hold of me. Registration is completely free. In conjunction with the statewide job fair, we're also hosting the 3rd annual Youth Summit. So that is going to be for area youth ages 16 to 24. And that's going to be a full-day event. It's also going to be here at Memorial Hall, so that way nobody has to travel. And we are looking for business sponsors. So if you are a business and you'd like to sponsor some of that event, you can get a hold of Melissa Johnson, who is here, or call the Southeast Kansas Works office, and we will get a hold of you. So thank you.
Thanks, Lacey. Jean, you want to come on up here?
Thank you. I am Jean Barnett with Eclectics Art Gallery. And we're going to have a lot of classes this month. The newest ones are with Lindsay Graves, where she's going to teach the kids the classics with ages 4 to 14, and that's tomorrow. And then at the end of the month, on the 26th, she'll take the ones that are 15 years and older, doing the same program but aimed at a different age group. And then we're going to have the beginning watercolor Sunday with Louise Woodard, and so she'll be teaching beginning watercolor. So people that want to learn that, it's available. And the chalk painting class will be the last one that they'll be having because we'll be losing Carolyn Williams, who has been working with her on that. So we have a lot of classes on the web page and the Facebook page. And also with the Independence Chamber advertises our things, plus the Main Street. So wherever you go, you'll find the information about it. So thank you.
Thanks, Jean. And we appreciate all of the local artists that keep that business open for all of us. Speaking of artists and new business.
Does anybody here like chocolate? Yay. About 10 days from now, Confectionate Fine Chocolates will be opening its doors for business. We're at 221 North Penn, right next to Jim Hayward Fine Art. So we hope to see you there.
Hey. Congratulations on that. Jim and Rhonda, we're way pumped about breaking our New Year's resolutions in 10 days and having some chocolate.
Good morning. I wanted to invite you to Wilson Medical Center's foundation. It's soup weather, so we are doing our Taste of Neodache, and it is a soup luncheon that raises funds for actually hospital equipment, medical equipment that we need in our hospital. So I want to invite you because it is a wonderful time. You get to sample 3 different soups that has been made by people from, actually, some people from even Independence have made, from Independence Family Medicine and different places. So anyway, I do want to invite you out because there's like 24 soups that you can choose from, and you get to sample 3 of them and then get to some delicious desserts. And so anyway, it's about $8 to come and sample 3 soups and contribute to that, and it's in Neodache's Methodist Church. That's like 806 in Indiana. And it is, again, January 30th, so mark your calendar for that. It's from 11 to 1. Get there early because the soup runs out really quick. Dennis is one of our soup makers, so I just let him. He's been making it since he's been here, 5 years or so, 7 years maybe. So anyway, I hope you all have a good New Year's too.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'll get that on your calendars. We'll have soup at Martin Luther King's, soup at Neota Shea, so all kinds of fun stuff going on. All right, so with that, I want to thank our business sponsor again, Independence Family Medicine and Wilson Medical Center. Dennis, thank you very much for your continued support of our community and events like this. I want to let you know that we have some great speaker sponsors lined up for February. I usually don't share that with you, but I have them pretty much all lined out. So we're going to have Julie Dunham, who's going to be here from the high school, talking about the AVID program. And I think that will be very interesting to all of you. John Atlas will be here from the Washington Historic Residence. That's the housing project that's going up where the former Washington School was. So I think that will be interesting to hear all about that. And we have Brandon West, who will be telling us all about the upcoming library projects and events that are happening within the Independence Public Library. And then I've invited Rusty Baker to come and talk about all of the hunting events that are happening in our community. The Chamber grants tourism funds to those events, and I think it's important that all of us know the economic impact of those events in our community, and so we're going to ask him to come and speak as well. So please fill out your comment cards. Please use your hand sanitizer that Wilson Medical Center has put on the table, and stay healthy and have a great new year. Good job, good job, good job.